4, 3, 2, 1, and we're live. Hello, Terence McKenna.
Pleasure to be here.
The thing about psychedelics that they deliver.
Yes.
If you're skeptical about religion, and you know, there's some people that get a lot out of religion, that's fine. But if you're skeptical about it, it's not going to fulfill your promises. It's not going to give you anything that you can say, oh my God, this is irrefutable. Psychedelic experiences are pretty irrefutable that something's happening that's titanic. It's just, it's so immense and bizarre and beyond the normal that it's hard to just dismiss it. And the only people that really do dismiss it are the people that haven't experienced it.
That's absolutely correct.
I think it's so important that Michael Pollan put out that book, because a guy who's a mainstream, straight-laced guy who's written about architecture and agriculture and all these different things where people like really respect his opinions and his work, that this guy has not just written this book, but has also gone out on a limb and had a bunch of different psychedelic experiences in controlled settings, and talks about them and the profound impact that it had on his, at one point, skeptical mind. He was very skeptical about what these things were.
We are an ape with a symbiotic relationship to a mushroom, and that has given us self-reflection, language, religion, and all the spectrum of effects that flow from these things.
This is the big thing that the big problem I've always had about these UFO abduction experiences. First of all, they all take place when someone is either at night, it's either they're on a dark road where there's no one around, and they're sleepy, or they're at home in their bed. Like the vast majority of them take place at night or while someone's lying in bed, which is exactly when you're dreaming. Right? Now, we don't totally understand the dream state, but there's a connection, at least an implied connection between psychedelic chemicals that your brain produces endogenously that could be released during the dream state and in different levels with different humans. I mean, obviously some people have problems with producing serotonin and dopamine, and then other people have no problems with it. And the biology of the human brain varies, right?
Yes.
So it's not without it's not without possibility that there's someone who has a real issue with these chemicals.
That's right, and DMT is also a product of endogenous human metabolism.
When you look at the DMT experience and you look at its effect on the human mind, how much of you subscribes to the idea that what we're looking at is some sort of a chemical gateway?
It's interesting that the most intense of the hallucinogens, DMT, which you mentioned, are the ones which are most closely related to our own brain chemistry.
That this is some sort of a pathway to a nearby dimension or to something that's around us all the time but we just don't have access to with normal neurochemistry?
There are many chemical compounds in nature which are psychoactive, but a much narrower spectrum of these compounds are truly what we call psychedelic or mind manifesting.
I mean, I've never done it, but I know that people who do Kundalini yoga have apparently reported trip-like experiences that are very similar to a real DMT flash. So the mind has this ability to do this on its own.
The one thing that is not stressed in Hinduism as it is exported to the West is the immense reliance on cannabis. Hashish, ganja.
Whatever that DMT experience is, that this is something that your brain has the ability to travel to.
Toads have been found which do secrete DMT-like compounds. I feel that potentially psychedelic drugs could be for psychology what the telescope became for the science of astronomy.
You had that fantastic joke. It was a talk about that this monk had practiced the city of levitation. Do you remember this one?
Yes.
And that the Buddha came to town and he said, for the last 20 years I've practiced the city of levitation and I can now walk on water. And the Buddha said, yeah, but the ferry's only a nickel.
That's right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Terence McKenna, ladies and gentlemen.
Pleasure to be here.